Hey everybody, welcome to Sunday Slowdown at J&J Acres. If this is your first time finding our live stream, we are a small family farm in east central Mississippi, and we do these live streams as a part of a collaboration between a whole host of YouTube channels, which you can find more information about by checking out thehomesteadnetwork.com. And you can find all the different show times, the different channels, what they participate in. Some of them have specific topics at certain times, and some of them are much like us, where we just turn on the camera and talk. So
we are currently being followed from coast to coast.
Well, that's awesome. We're glad to hear it. I know before we've had a few viewers that were even international, which I guess is just a matter of what time of day you've got to be up or go to work, you know?
Well, we've got a Canadian watcher right now, so we are technically international right now.
There you go. Hi, Rain. Hi, Wee Tree. Hello, everybody. I'm sure I'm missing a good host of folks there, so I apologize if I missed your name, but it certainly is good to see you guys.
Urban Girl says this is her first time here.
Well, hey there, Urban Girl. Welcome.
Hope we make you feel at home in our home today.
All right, so you all know how the show goes. We like to catch up about the videos that you saw last week on our YouTube channel, and we like to show you some videos and pictures from around the farm that you probably haven't seen anywhere else. And then we like to talk about what's going to happen in the next week, and all throughout take your questions and answers. So, to make sure we get your questions, make sure you type them in all capital letters, and Jennifer will notice them and get them in front of my nose so that we can get them answered.
Just to give you guys a good idea, because we've got some new watchers, the way the show usually goes is if the question is relevant to what we're currently talking about, I'll come over here and nudge Jared and let him know he's got a question to answer right now. The rest of them will go, I'll save and forward over to his phone, and he will actually answer all of them at the very end of the show. So if you ask a question and it doesn't get answered immediately, don't run away. It will get answered.
Yep. So whatever you want, whatever's off the top of your head, something you've already seen in a past video of ours, whatever your question is, give her a go and we'll do our best. So, alright, let's talk a little bit about the videos you saw last week on our YouTube channel and see if there's anything else we can kind of tell you about them. So, I believe there were two videos. One of them is Old Window Greenhouse, Part 1. Or really it's more introduction more than Part 1, I think. And then we also had our new channel trailer. So that's just called Hey Everybody, Welcome to J&J Acres. So that's kind of funny because there's a couple different people at work that whenever they see me, the first thing that they say is Hey Everybody, because that's my opening line. That's how I feel comfortable talking to the camera. So.
And even his employees tend to watch him. So
yeah, get a couple
our family and.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about that greenhouse. All right, so the cat's out of the bag. This is something I shared with Patreon folks a couple months ago. Before I go too far, I wanted to remember. Did you notice that tonight is episode 16?
No, I didn't.
Episode 16. Can you believe we've been doing this? We've been doing live shows now for 4 months.
Seems like a long time.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like we've been doing it that long.
No, it doesn't.
But the episode numbers don't lie, and we've got episode 16 tonight, so wow.
We haven't missed a week yet.
Haven't missed one yet, but I will give you guys more information next week. We do intend to spend our time with family on Christmas Day. So we are not going to take time away from our children to do an hour-long show. We are going to record something in advance and have it go live at our usual time. So, but I'll give you more information about that at some point for our Christmas Day episode. All right. Now, I was telling you before this greenhouse. So this is something that's been many months in the making. It first started when a guy over in Birmingham, Alabama, contacted me and said, "Hey, I'd like to get some of your Muscovy ducks." And he said, "Would you be willing to barter for them?" And I said, "Well, what do you got?" And he says, "Well, I'm into house renovation. That's my job. And I can get you a whole bunch of old windows suitable for using in a greenhouse." And he shared with me some pictures of him and a friend that had put up a greenhouse at his friend's house, having done the same thing, just getting old windows off of job sites. And I said, that sounds like something we'd be willing to do. So his family was expanding at that time. His wife was pregnant, and it just so happened that she was scheduled to give birth at the same time that his job, that job was ending. That work job. That, I don't know what the right way to say that is, but that project, yeah, the job site, that project was ending, and so it kind of got delayed a little bit before he was able to break away from home, because of course he needed to tend to his wife and their newborn child. But he got his way out here and dropped off all these windows, and there are a ton of them. So he didn't expect for us to do more and give him a couple of ducks, but I didn't feel right doing anything more than giving him every duck we had, except for 3. We kept 3 white ones at the time. So he packed those up, and we had all these windows to use for a greenhouse. Now, suffice to say, the intent in that was to spend the summer building the greenhouse and then being able to use it over winter, but that just didn't fly. So here we are.
Life kind of got away with us.
Here we are mid-December, and just now really getting started with the whole project. So that's a lot of the background story on where this even came from. We were very grateful to be able to travel down and see Danny and Wanda at Deep South Homestead and learn a little bit about their greenhouse and how that is set up. Walked away with a couple tips and tricks, but there is a little bit of difference in the greenhouse that Danny was able to put up and what we're doing, because I've got to make sure I can mount various windows of various widths and heights inside of this greenhouse, whereas Danny had to get his dimensions right, of course, but he was able to hang up prefabricated paneling. So not to take anything away from Deep South Homestead, but I feel like I'm a little more challenged on how I've got to do this. So what I wanted to do was we're going to separate that whole project up into a bunch of videos. So the first one was the introduction. The next one is going to be me describing what it's going to look like and why I chose that particular design, which I hope will be something that people will be able to take away some lessons learned, so that as they go to design their own greenhouse, they can maybe have the same thought process. Then it's a matter of starting to do the math. I've got to, the only way I feel comfortable, I have a measuring tape and I know how to use one, and I'm not too shabby at addition, but I still don't feel comfortable just taking window measurements and measurements off of 2x4s and such and figuring what the frame needs to be. The only way I feel comfortable is to lay the windows out, lay the wood out, see that it actually fits, attach all of the framing together without the windows in it, and then be able to erect a frame just like you would a wall for a house, and know my windows will fit into that. And so kind of what I'm beating around the bush here to say is I have no idea what the actual dimensions are of the foundation.
Now, can I give a sneak peek
Of what?
of a video you were wanting to do today and just never got around to doing it?
Oh. You mean sneak peek? You got something to show or something you want to tell about?
No, just to tell about.
I guess so. There's only 53 people watching right now, and I'm sure they'll keep it amongst the group.
He has been working on, for the past 2 weeks, drawing a lot of different designs of how he wants to do up this greenhouse, and just how the sun's going to come into it, and how to make sure that You know, because he doesn't want a clear plastic roof. He wants a solid tin roof on it to make sure that it lasts a long time. So, trying to get the windows in the right configuration to get the right amount of sunlight in the greenhouse. And he was wanting to do a video on that today. So watch for that video when it does come out, but he didn't get to it today.
Yeah.
There is a question Dolphin Man had. I sent it to you.
Oh, about this?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
about a greenhouse.
Oh, well, let me see if I can get technology to behave for me. In the winter, Dolphin Man asks, in the winter cold, are you able to get any heat from your home from the greenhouse? I am going to initially not do any kind of proactive heating to the greenhouse. I am going to see what will happen on its own. Now, my hypothesis is that with a lean-to greenhouse that is going to be constructed and insulated in the way I plan on building it, on the southern exposure of my house, where I know how many hours of sun it gets a day and so forth, my hypothesis is that in my climate, it will never drop below freezing on its own. Now that will keep plants alive, but it may not necessarily grow plants. So it will then be a discussion of, well, what do I really want to do? Do I want to grow just plants that can handle the cool weather, that'll grow in cool weather, even if they don't grow rapidly, so long as I keep a frost off of them? Or do I want to be able to, quote unquote, grow tomatoes in the middle of winter, and I need the heat? So that is that's something, I guess, to think about there. But I don't think I'm going to have to do any heating. In fact, there has been some question from others about would we use the greenhouse as a way to passively heat our home.
Yeah, I think that's what he was asking. I think at this point it's more or less just not going to. It's going to help with the temperature loss from this side of the house, because the actual heater and the thermostat are on the other side of the house, which means our bedroom and the office we're sitting in, which is right where that greenhouse is going to be, are usually the coldest rooms in the entire house, especially if we keep it closed off during the day. So I think at the very least we're going to have less heat loss.
Dolphin, I apologize if I read that wrong or if I just switched it around in my brain while I was reading it. But I do see that you were asking if we would get heat for the home from the greenhouse. It's possible that we could, at the moment, the most effort I intend on putting into it is popping open the window and seeing what happens. Like Jennifer was telling you, if you look in the video there, you can see that many of the windows are propped up against a window that's in the house, and that window is right there, like 4 feet away from the end of my finger. So this is a very small den, and our bedroom is right on that side, about a foot away from my finger. So it's possible we might open up the window, open up this door, and get some ambient heat going to the house that way. But we'll just have to see how things go.
There are a few more greenhouse questions specifically.
I see that. So Susan is mentioning something we talked about last week. Did you decide on tar paper for a vapor shield? No. Similarly, WeTree says, will you have insulation on your house to prevent mold from the moisture? So doing some more research and talking to some people about this, my understanding is that the key behind mold in a greenhouse is to keep the air moving. So not to try to take up the entire show today with this, but I plan on venting the greenhouse in a way that I believe will keep the humidity to a tolerable level, and there's going to be solar powered fans keeping the heat going. Now mind you, right now we may grow into something different later, but right now my intention is to use this for the fall, winter, and spring. During summer, I plan to have, it's going to have French doors on either side of it. So I plan to have all 4 doors, wide open, all vents open and fans blowing, and trying to keep that thing from making my house even more hot than it would already be in the summer.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on with that, and my intention again is to keep the air moving, and if we can keep the air moving, we can likely not have any problems with mold in the greenhouse. So I think that's probably both of those questions there.
And then Old as Dirt wants to know what our temps are in the area, highs and lows.
Well, I mean, for example, the last 3 nights we had temperatures below 30 degrees Fahrenheit, which is highly unusual for us to have 3 days in a row below freezing. But then tonight it's up in the high 40s, I think, and we've got a warm front moving through. It seems to always happen that way here. We'll get down below freezing, and then as a front is coming in that is going to have precipitation, we immediately go above freezing and get just cold rain.
Which is why it's been 6 years since the last time it snowed.
Yeah. Now, I realize there's a lot of different things to take into account with this, but we have some friends that live a little further down south, a little closer to Danny and Wanda, or at least along the same longitude, that they have a freestanding greenhouse, no external heating, nothing, no kind of heating apparatus, not a wood stove, not a furnace, nothing like that, not an electric heater.
And she just mentioned she has not had any sweat in it yet.
What are you talking about?
Deep Home South.
Oh, okay.
Deep South Homestead, yeah.
You totally threw me off where I was talking about. So this other friend of ours down near Danny and Wanda, they have a freestanding greenhouse. And while it was 28 degrees down there outside the greenhouse, it was 50 degrees inside the greenhouse. And that's without any effort of trying to... The most you could possibly say they're doing for any kind of heat retention is the entire floor is stone. That's it. So, I mean, I really just don't see any need to try to do any kind of heating or any concern for how high or how low it gets. Now, highs in the summer can get as high as 105.
I've seen even higher, like 110
on a one-day pop or so.
Yeah.
But so that's why I don't plan on trying to do anything in the summer right now. Now, there's a lot of techniques. There's people out there with greenhouses that have trellising on the outside of the greenhouse so that during the summer they grow beans and other pole plants, vines up the trellis and try to turn that area into full shade. And we might experiment with that at some point, but it's not my intention to do that day one. So someone else says, my fiance and I are looking for tips on starting homesteading. Okay, so we'll catch that later.
Last one.
Okay. Any emergency plan if an accident breaks out several windows?
We still have tons more windows from the exchange.
Well, we do have excess windows, more than what the design calls for. But also, I think I understand the curiosity that's involved, but please permit me to retain some information to go into the videos I plan on producing. But it would take an accident, not just an act of nature. It would take an accident to break the windows in the way that we're designing them.
I'm going to knock on wood here and say that's the one thing my children have not broken yet.
Any of those glass windows?
Any windows in the house, period.
Yeah. But suffice to say, as rain and hail falls, there will not be any glass for it to come in contact with.
Broken?
And there is no...
No. Mantel's not broken.
There are no trees or anything to fall on it or anything like that. So somebody would have to chuck something into the glass, so to speak. So
Rita, we do have your question. We're going to go ahead and answer that at the end, okay?
Okay.
She's been repeating it a couple times.
Okay.
Is there a crop or plants you could grow in the summer hot heat? I think it would get way too hot in there.
I mean, we'd have to find something that is an annual tropical. because we wouldn't be able to
They
keep
could
it.
survive even our greenhouse winter.
Well, that's what I'm saying. An annual tropical, something we would plant in spring when we close. Something when the greenhouse starts to get 100 degrees inside the greenhouse.
Maybe artichokes.
But artichokes are supposed to be able to grow outside the greenhouse. We've just had no luck with it.
Yeah, sure.
But I understand where you're going. You're trying to get me to think about other ways to use that space and not to leave it as a dead zone. So I mean, there's thoughts about that. I mean, heck, there's things as exotic as just a pepper vine. Pepper grows on a vine, but you can't grow it here. It has to be super hot for pepper to grow, and super humid. And so I mean, there are things that you could sit there and say, well, you know what, I'm going to close it up and do that, but then you still have to think about, okay, well now, right outside this window, I have purposely created an environment that's 140 degrees and 89, 90, 95, 100% humidity.
And now you've got me running from the house again.
Right, and do I really want to do that? Because right now, the plans to not grow during the summer are the things that keep the mold from growing during the summer. By being able to vent that out and make sure. I don't know. I feel like I'm repeating myself, so I apologize for that. But
let's move on to your. Do you have any videos today?
Well, let's take a look here. I got another video that came out last week that I want to talk a little bit about.
Okay.
We didn't have any other greenhouse-specific questions?
No, that was it.
All right. So last week, again, we had a new channel trailer that came out. So what this is, just in case you're not familiar, is on YouTube, you can select what they call any video of yours that's like 2 minutes or less, I believe is their criteria, to be a channel trailer. And what that means is if you're not subscribed to J&J Acres and you go to youtube.com/J&J Acres, it immediately displays to you our trailer. And so this is the commercial. This is that little pitch for somebody to say, why am I here? What is this page about? Do I really want to subscribe? Do I care about their almost 500 other videos that they've created? So kind of the history behind the why. We've had a couple channel trailers in the past, and we've wanted to update that for a while. And here recently, I was able to have some consultation with a employee at YouTube, and one of the things they recommended is that I do an update to the channel trailer. Because first off, my filming skills have gotten better since that previous channel trailer, and it was 3 years old anyway. So it was kind of good for a good time for an update. So what I decided to do was, rather than go out there and do what I had done before and speak to the camera and then overlay some videos, I kind of went with the idea of, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and if you can get 28 frames a second into a video, then maybe it's worth even more. And so what I did is I went back through everything during 2016 that we had filmed up to that point and dropped in little sections of video, something with each thing of something we still have on the property. So there was a little bit of the pigs, there was a little bit of the bees, there was the gardening and different things like that, how to DIY kind of construction things, and I threw it all in there in 45 seconds. And if you can't figure out what we're about by watching that quick little video, then I don't know what me talking would change your mind about. So,
and it's got every single one of us in it, and if you watch it all the way to the end, there's a little surprise at the very end.
Yep. And that was taken from a video that's out there. You could go watch it. There was a video where we spoke to an English teacher in an agricultural school in France. He wrote to us, and we did a little thank you video to him and his students. And I took the end of that video and made it the end of the channel trailer. And so that's not scripted. That's just kids being kids.
Yep.
So you can go check that out. But and then the other benefit of having that channel trailer is you can give YouTube permission, I guess is the easiest way to say it, to use one of your videos as an ad. And so you don't pay them anything. You're not paying for an ad to be displayed, but you can tell them, hey, if y'all ever do a campaign, and you're willing to include me in that campaign, then here's the video I want you to use. So kind of like just when y'all come and watch my videos where there's a commercial at the front of a video, it's possible for our little 45-second ad to be the ad that is displayed to you, a YouTube viewer, and try to get them to come over and join our channel. Now,
that's really cool.
Now, about 3 years ago, when that previous one came out, they did use our ad one time, and we jumped like 400 subscribers in like 2 days. It was crazy. Yeah. So we're hoping that they'll pick up on that too. So that's kind of what that whole video was all about and where it came from. So, all right. Good night, Deep South.
Luke Rankin would like to know, is that free advertising?
The second part is you just go in there. There's a section in your YouTube. I don't even remember what it's called. So if you're a YouTube creator, not to take away Big Family Homestead's tech talk that they do as a part of the Homestead Network, but let's see here. If you go under, if you're in your dashboard and you go under channel, you can go to, let me double check which one it is. Yeah, okay, so you go to featured content is a menu option under there, and one of the option is channel ad, and you can select an ad for the channel, and YouTube will never tell you, hey, we're about to run your ad. You don't get to decide when it's run. They just up and decide at some point that they're going to run an ad, and all of a sudden one day you'll notice that your ad video, whatever video that was that you selected, got viewed 1,000 times out of nowhere, and that's
your subscribers go up.
That's your only notification of it. So, but anyway, so that's what that's all about. All right. So you asked earlier if I have any videos to share. I do have some things.
Yay! I like videos. This is the first time I get to see half of this too. Do you get paid for the views? Actually, we only get paid for the
You get paid for the view of an advertisement. You don't
at
get
the
paid
very
for,
beginning.
So like for example, we might have 120,000 views in a month, but out of that 120,000 views, maybe only 80,000 of them displayed an ad, and then from there you get paid. So,
and there's a lot of other.
Yeah, that's very, very simple explanation of how it is. But as far as do I get paid if they play it as an ad? No, I don't get paid for that. I would only get paid for videos that I have that are monetized on the channel itself over there. So, all right. Let's see here. Let me get all my ducks in a row. All right, okay, here we go. First video I want to show you guys. Do you remember Unicorn? We haven't seen Unicorn in a while, but as it happens, the trail camera saw Unicorn over the last week. So our first video here is Unicorn. There he is. This is just going to be a little 1-minute clip. You know how the camera works. Does little 1-minute videos at night. But there's Unicorn back in the deer field, finding a couple leaves growing up through it. And that's the only time I saw him. That's the only video I've got of him, so I don't know where else he's eating around or how often he'll come by. It has several videos of some does and I don't know if they're does or bucks, but some younglings. But that was the only buck I got this week on camera was Unicorn. So that Luke, that is a buck, but he's only properly growing. Well, I wouldn't even say it's properly growing, but he's only growing one antler there. I've never gotten a real good head-on view to know what his other antler looks like, or whether or not, something about him, he was damaged at some point, and now his horn grows all funky. So
he's legal here also if our kids take him down.
Yeah, every description we can find says that I could not shoot him, but that my children could. So we'll just have to wait and see.
But he likes to come around when it's dark.
So I wonder if you've noticed while this is repeated a couple times, down in the bottom left-hand corner, something kind of jumps by, and Unicorn kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't say really jumps, but he kind of startles a little bit.
There's a bunny over there.
See a little bunny run by? Well, let me show you the next video. So here in this one, I'm going to let it run the whole thing. I titled this video, just for my own records, Happy Rabbit. So here we've got this bunny back in the background there, and look at it just start jumping around. And don't worry, it comes back. That bunny is just going crazy all over the field. I don't know what's going on there. We had some good rain over the weekend. Look at him, he's still back there. We had some good rain over the last week, and I don't know if maybe some things started growing up and that bunny got all excited. I don't know if that bunny heard something out in the woods that freaked it out. But to me, that looks like Happy Rabbit, not Scared Rabbit. So.
And when we were raising rabbits and I would bring them out, that is definitely more, especially because it's haphazard, that is definitely more Happy Rabbit. See, that was the happy dance. Did you see it?
Yeah, when they jump and just keep going in circles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does the happy dance right in the middle, top right hand of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Right
about now. And he said, there it is.
That is the happy dance.
Yep.
So.
But, well, not just that particular dance that we've seen domesticated rabbits do before, but also because it never runs away.
Yeah, he's just running back and forth across the field.
Running back and forth, enjoying the field. So, pretty fun little thing. All right. Now, I hope you guys will take just a minute and start thinking about some questions to ask, because we are halfway through the show, and I've got 2 pictures left to show you.
We've got questions.
I know we have a couple questions, but I want to make sure we have questions for the rest of the show. So, let's go over and look at some pictures. I told you before that it's kind of rare for us to have 3 nights below freezing in a row. And we did. And this Saturday morning, Jennifer and I were outside working on a project that I'll show you in just a minute. And as we were doing it, we noticed something that we've seen before, and it's a phenomenon called a phenomenon called needle ice. So if you've never heard that before, it's called needle ice. And I've done a video about it before, and I've done a blog post about it before, because it was something I had never seen until that first time.
And you even had a magazine try to pick up your pictures.
It was actually a weather show. It was one of those like 10 weirdest weather events kind of thing that they like to show on the Weather Channel.
Okay.
But we didn't make the top 10 cut. We struck a deal on what they'd pay us if they used our stuff, and they didn't use our stuff. But anyway.
But they called you.
They did. So we saw this needle ice again, but this time we also went around and saw some other things. And I just wanted to share one interesting picture with you about it. And that was here. This print, which we believe is probably actually part of a partial print from a raccoon. The neat thing about it is it looks deeper than it should, because of the needle ice. So if you look, I thought that this would show my cursor, but apparently it's not going to. If you look up where the toes are, so to speak, you can notice that the soil has risen up about 1/4 inch. There's a gap there. The ice expanded and the top of the soil separated from the bottom, and so it looks even more, there's like a deeper impression there. Anyway, that was just one of the few pictures that we took. I'm going to show the other pictures in a new blog post and do a little update on this little phenomenon. But really what it is the action of the water that's in the ground freezing, and it's a capillary action of the water growing up as it freezes, kind of just almost the opposite of icicles dripping down. This is water extruding up from the soil, and it will take that very top layer with it. So instead of getting just needles of ice, you get pillars of ice that have a layer of soil across the top. So it's just a kind of a capillary, thank you, capillary action. So I never did say I was good at speaking. I just said I do a lot of it.
We got better pictures last time when he did the video of it. So.
Yep. It was a much more impressive event that time.
Yes.
It was a much bigger.
That, and it was on in an area where you had been composting.
Right.
So the inside was even hotter.
So, the next picture I want to show you is a project that we worked on that's going to come out again in a series of videos. So those videos have been shot and compiled, but because the videos were shot while we were working and the work needed to get done, there is some voiceover that I need to do to explain what's happening. So this was something, and I hate that Deep South Homestead had to leave. I hope they get to come back and watch this on the recording, because this was somewhat inspired, or at least the motivation, because the design isn't really inspired, but the motivation to get her done.
Some of the design is inspired by then. It's just not looking like that yet.
Yeah. So I guess better way to say it is, once we went and visited Deep South, we said, yep, we're doing that, and came home and did it. So what is it? Well, here it is. This is, those are the steps coming off of our back deck where the Greenstock garden is. And we now have this wraparound raised garden bed.
We've wanted to do something like this for a while. We just hadn't put our finger on it yet.
Yep. Now this is not done. This is how far we were able to get this weekend. We're going to put up some lattice on the back side of it. So that, just for looks, really, we're not going to grow vining plants there or anything, but some lattice on the back side of it. And what we're really intending to grow here are strawberries. We're going to put a whole bunch of strawberries through here. And Jennifer said that a part of this is inspired by Deep South Homestead. And the part that's really inspired by it is at Deep South Homestead, they have a couple different beds with strawberries in it. But the one that really captured my attention was this raised bed that has hinged lids that are covered in, well, they're using chicken wire. But it's lidded, so they can open this hinged lid, which for them it just flops over onto the ground, and they can work on the strawberries and put it back. Now for us, that's really great because we do have yard cats, and the yard cats don't know the difference between the woods and the garden bed, and
they prefer the garden bed.
They prefer the fluffy soil. So
now this is on the south side of the house. So right now you see it in shade because the picture was taken in the morning, and that's the direction.
No, this was late afternoon. This was like 5 minutes before sunset.
Okay, so the sun's back behind the trees of our forest, but through most of the day, even in the winter, this gets full sun, and then during spring, summer, and fall, it doesn't get any shade till the sun goes down.
Yeah, so right now the sun is going down at about almost 5 o'clock on the dot, I think.
Yeah.
And this was just before that when this picture was taken. So, or no, you are right. I took this picture this morning.
Yeah.
You're right.
This
picture was actually I was seeing the project completed and was remembering how late in the day we completed the project and thought it was then. But I actually took this picture first thing this morning. So here you're looking at, oh goodness, I don't know what time of the day it was, but early in the morning when the sun's still behind the big tall pine trees. So,
yeah.
But anyway, you see we added a little flourish. We got this stepped area right in front. I wanted to have a tapered edge, so when you came off the stairs, we could make a walkway that felt more natural than having a 90-degree bend right there in the raised bed. So it also allowed us to fill that gap, because you notice as how high as the raised beds are, we couldn't go any further toward the end of the steps. So you see this is going right to the edge of this step here. If I go any further, this step starts to cover up the raised bed. So here we have it 2 lengths high, and then down here with this triangular section, what we're actually thinking about putting there is a little miniature rose bush. Put a little miniature rose bush down there, and then we'll do the rest with strawberries, and we will have these lids, which I think ours will probably just lift on and off. I don't think I'm going to try to hinge them in any way, and there'll be several sections of them, so they're very manageable.
Can I toot a horn? We just got a compliment.
Okay.
Dolphin Man said, using the space you have one of the best channels on this homesteading network.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And this project actually, and I don't have that photo loaded for you, but if you've seen pictures before of the whichever's a video that was specifically about these 2 citrus plants that are on the south side of our house, if you remember in that picture, I'll go ahead and bring it back up. Those citrus trees are just on the deck side of that air conditioner there. So they're back in here, and this raised bed is going to extend out in front of those and will lift the soil up about 6 inches in the very front. No, that does not affect any of the plants that are already planted there, because there's about a 1-foot drop in front of any of the plants. So the beams will go right in front of that, and we can raise that whole area up. And so, in other words, what I'm telling you is we're going from the ground and then extending it into this raised bed, and it's a flowing thing. So we're trying to make it look good too. Trying to make it look like something, I don't know.
Rain Country Homestead says, then you can use rose petals to make rose vinegar. You want to tell them about the rose bush in the front yard?
Well, we do have the rose bush in the front yard. If y'all saw that video where I said something about my heart on my sleeve or something like that, whatever that saying is, we've got that rose bush that we planted for my mother. It's a Chrysler Imperial Hybrid Tea Rose. And I don't know roses well. I just memorized what that rose is called.
It's beautiful, and it smells really good.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would have to, if there's a useful miniature rose that we would want to plant there because it produces, an unusually large rose hip that you could actually use in something, or petals that have a particular use than a different rose that wouldn't, then feel free to tell me. Yeah, Chrysler Imperial is what it's called. Hybrid tea rose. That's exactly right. And we chose that one.
Probably about this tall.
Well, that's because it's getting trimmed, but
yeah.
We selected that rose out in the front yard because it is the most red, most fragrant rose that can grow in our humidity. Mm-hmm. So there's a million different types out there, but when it comes to wanting a long stem red rose that is highly fragrant, that's the one you go with around here. Chrysler Imperial.
His mom was very big on red roses, so.
Oh, Deep South, I thought you had to leave. I hope you got to see the strawberry beds we're planting, and thank you for all of your insight that we were able to put into that. Did I see that you tagged me in the Holly Jolly Christmas tag? I had not seen that. But quite frankly, to be honest, I get 100,000 notifications a day, and I may have just missed it. So I will have to go back and look. Is that the kids video, or is that something else? Because maybe I'm getting my things mixed up.
She says, glad to help.
Well, thank you. All right, so we have got about 15 minutes left in the show.
And lots and lots and lots of questions.
And my wife tells me I have lots of questions to go over. So, let me go here. And I think the first one I haven't addressed yet is my fiance and I are looking for tips on starting a homestead. Well, the best tips I can give you for starting a homestead are found for free if you go to jnjacres.net and sign up for our newsletter. And that newsletter is an email that comes out about once a week whenever we post a new blog. And if you sign up for that newsletter, it's going to email you a free PDF version of our book, which is called Your Dream Homestead: Where to Start. And it talks a lot in there about how you just get going. What's the first thing I'm going to do, no matter what kind of condition you live in right now. So that would be the best place for you to start, to figure out where you want to start.
Deep South answered your question. No kid video is separate. Check out my video today. So shout out to Deep South Homestead. After you guys are done here, head on over to their website and their YouTube and check out that video.
Absolutely. At least, if nothing else, put it in your watch
later.
Yeah, your watch later list, because there is one more live show that's brand new coming in after us. So I don't want to take away from them, and I know Danny and Wanda don't either. So make sure you go check out Deep South Homestead and get that into your watch later list.
And subscribe to them. They'd enjoy that.
We got another question here. Do the bats hibernate? Well, the big brown bat that we have can stay in a location over winter, but may decide that it is either too cold, too windy, or whatever it is, and go somewhere else for the winter. So really it just depends on the comfort of the bat and whether or not it decides to hibernate where it is at, or if it is going to migrate somewhere else.
Now, I saw the bats a couple days ago flying around catching. The last time it was warm out.
Yeah.
Just a couple days ago.
So I guess the question is, do they hibernate? No, they will come out and still eat during the winter. They don't just go to bed and you don't see them for 6 months.
Right.
But will they migrate might be a follow-up question to that, and it's just a matter of the bat. They don't have to migrate in our area, but if the habitat they're in, like our bat house, doesn't suit them and they need a different place, they might go find a different home in the area for winter. All right, let's see. Rita asked, what made you decide to start this lifestyle? Rita, there's a couple videos on our channel that might answer that more in depth. But suffice to say, I guess the quick answer is we didn't try to do this. We
have 5 kids and wanted to try and save some money.
Yeah. So we purposefully bought 7 acres. Crazy cat. Cat was clawing at the door, so I opened the door, and the cat goes, "Oh no, you opened the door. I knew you were going to answer me." So
wanted the door open.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sorry.
We knew we did not want to live in the city where we were going to have to beg permission for every little thing that we did. We did not ever want to be put in a situation where if I decided to grow a tomato, I had to find out whether or not the housing authority was going to let me grow a tomato, and in what part of my yard I was allowed to grow a tomato.
Or if I wanted a horse or a chicken.
Right. That we couldn't have it. So we knew we wanted to be outside of the municipality. We knew we wanted to be in the county. So we bought the only 7 acres that we could even find at the time, because outside of that they wanted like 200 acres and we couldn't afford it.
Well, there were a few other choices, but they weren't wise choices.
No, there was a 20-acre parcel that I liked until Jennifer pointed out to me that where the roots were on the tree, we were probably standing under a water level at a certain time of year.
Yeah.
But anyway, all that aside, we bought this house just to kind of be out of, as away from government interference as we could be, and then over time realized that we were going to have 5 children that were all teenagers at one time, and we were going to have to feed them, and that groceries are expensive.
No, they expect us to feed them still?
They do. It's crazy.
They need to go plant their own food.
Yep.
Start feeding themselves.
So that's kind of what started us down the path. I started learning about growing food. I learned about different gardening methods. I learned about permaculture. I went to master gardening classes. I got certified in permaculture and all these other different kind of things.
And I kind of went
Kinda led us to here.
the other direction, the same kind of thing, only with animals, with ducks and pigs and rabbits, and trying to figure out ways to provide meat to the family.
Yeah.
So
Rita also asked, what all will you have in your greenhouse? Right now I've got the design for the greenhouse kind of figured out, but I haven't started thinking about specifically what's going to be planted in it. So I don't have a good answer for that.
He doesn't plan his gardens until it's about a month before he's actually starting to get seed in the ground. Mm-hmm. So it's probably going to be worse with the greenhouse.
Maybe so. Another question here. What did you do with the green stuck garden for winter? With a little follow-up here, I didn't open it yet, but I have had it over a year and feel bad not trying it. So I'm guessing that means you've got a green stock and you just haven't put it up. Well, let me tell you this. If you don't want it, I'll give you my address. You can find it on our website and you can send it to me because I love the thing. Right now it is growing carrots, turnips, kohlrabi, 2 or 3 kinds of kale, 2 or 3 kinds of cabbage, broccoli, parsley, couple lettuces. There's a Bibb lettuce and a deer tongue lettuce, and I think...
And a strawberry plant.
Oh yeah, well actually it's pineberry, but yeah, a strawberry plant. And so what are we doing with it for winter? It's growing.
It's growing.
I just gave it some more fertilized water earlier today. I'm using that organic fish liquid fertilizer, and I put a few squirts in there. And the way I actually do it, and because I guess just the amount of water flow that we get, is I'll actually stick my thumb in the top water bin to stop water from going down to the other tiers. So I squirt some liquid fish fertilizer in the top, and then I plug it up, and then I fill the basin with water and mix that fertilizer up with the water, and then I release it, and I let all that fertilized water get down into the different tiers.
And when it drops below 32, he's covering it with plastic and then taking that off in the morning. So.
I just got some 6 mil plastic from Lowe's and cut it to size, and I wrap it around there, and I use a very cheap, low-grade strap to hold the plastic on in case the wind blows, kind of thing. So
Rain, yes, the pineberry is a white-looking strawberry. However, I have no idea how it tastes because it has yet to actually fruit.
But Rain is right. It is reported as being a pineapple taste. That is what it is supposed to taste like, but we have not yet had it flower and fruit. So.
Okay.
But it looks like it's going to overwinter like a champ. So
yeah,
we'll just see how it goes.
Maybe we'll put it down in the bottom.
Yeah, I was thinking about that before, but of course now we have already ordered. So this this strawberry bed of ours we talked about before, we have on order 36 strawberry starts, not bare roots, starts.
2 different varieties.
2 different varieties.
And we're going to intersperse them so that if a variety decides it doesn't like that area or whatever and it doesn't make it, we'll still have a variety.
Right. And
we're doing our own experiment.
And so people are going to ask, well, if you already have the strawberries on order, what kind of strawberries do you have? And I can only remember one of them right now, so I am quickly trying to pull up that information. We are planting 2 varieties. One is called Chandler, and the other one is called Sweet Charlie. And they are both grown at a nursery over in Birmingham, Alabama, and are highly rated for our humidity and our weather. So those are the 2 varieties that we're going to plant in that.
Bandana, I've never even heard of salsify, but anything that tastes like oysters I would probably avoid.
Never heard of salsify.
It says, have you ever grown or tried salsify? Root is supposed to taste just like oysters, poor man's oyster.
Well, look, I have heard of it, but I had not heard that it tastes like oyster, and I will probably now never grow it. That's how I feel about oysters.
Like I said. No, I've never heard of it before.
Anyways, but the Greenstock Garden is doing really well. And for 3 nights in a row below 30 degrees Fahrenheit, sitting up on a wood deck that is about 5 feet off the ground, just being wrapped in plastic. It did fine. In fact, if I would say anything, it got more damage from the fact that we left it, because it stayed in the 40s during the day. And I was at work, and I said, forget it, just leave the plastic on there. And if anything,
you didn't tell us to deal with it either.
well, yeah,
so.
I said forget it in my mind, and didn't tell anybody to do anything with it.
Yeah.
So I just left it on, and if anything, it got some damage from leaving the plastic on than anything else. So
Dolphin Man's paying us another compliment. He says you both make me feel right at home on your Sunday videos. Thank you both.
I appreciate it. And, I've joked around on things like Facebook before and said, one day I'm going to host a retreat. And we'll just invite a dozen people over and have an actual campfire talk and get to sit around a campfire and chat with everybody in person. And suffice to say, that got a warm response on Facebook, and I kind of almost scared me because I ain't got no way to host a dozen people.
Yes, we do.
Well, yeah,
we have a really big property, and I could set a bonfire. The real problem is we're introverts.
Oh, yeah, I'm not so good with lots of folks, but yeah, you'd have to be comfortable camping outside and doing most of your bathrooming outside too. I'm not so good with guests in the house. I can get you in the backyard all day, but my house is my bubble. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but my house is my bubble. That's why you don't see too many cooking videos.
Susan's willing to pitch tents.
There you go. I don't put a lot of videos out of me working in the kitchen because I don't like showing the inside of the house.
It's our bubble.
I worked on setting this den up for like a week before I did these.
A week?
Yeah.
I'm calling you out on that one.
Maybe a bit more.
Week.
And so look here, Dolphin asked, how many subscribers do we have? Well, I'll give you the behind the scenes, up to the minute number that YouTube is showing, and we have 21,141 subscribers, and to this minute our videos have been viewed 3,852,890 times just in the last 28 days. So just in the last 4 weeks, people have spent 302,492 minutes watching our videos. And if you, let's see, whoops, let me try it. Okay, calm down, computer. I didn't mean to upset you. So let's see, if we say 302,492 minutes and 60 minutes in an hour, that is 5,041 hours and 24 hours in a day. So in the last 28 days alone, we've had enough videos watched that if you alone sat down and watched videos nonstop, you would have watched videos for 210 days. So there you go. There's the behind the scenes analytics, as they like to call them, of our YouTube channel right now.
All right, this very last one is Bandana, the same person that was talking about the Salsify.
I was told about it during a tour in Colonial Williamsburg. I have that tour of their organic flower, herb, and veggie garden, including fencing and colonial garden. Young woman was so knowledgeable. So we only had a minute left in the show, but I think Jennifer shared that with me so I could say I did a lot of growing up in Colonial Williamsburg. I went to Lafayette High School there in Williamsburg, and used to live on Tanyard Street, which is about 2 blocks away, rode to Duke of Gloucester Street on my bicycle, and I could tell you all the ins and outs of being down there. So really enjoyed Colonial Williamsburg.
All right, send them over to...
All right, we have an announcement. There is a new channel that is a part of the Homestead Network, and that is Homesteading with Dutch. Again, that's Homesteading with Dutch, and if you look in the chat feed there, I am about to paste over a URL. So make sure you head over to Homesteading with Dutch and be a part of their show, and welcome them to the Homestead Network. I'm sure they will enjoy having all of you join them there. So
We've
thank
had
you
a great
so
night.
much.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.